Just to be upfront about this, I do not think that I've ever seen a Tom Holland film. I have no idea if the guy's talented or not. I hear good things, but that's about as far as I can say about the guy himself. But when I just look at him, watch an interview or something like that, seems pretty amiable. You know, he's just kind of finding his way, and luckily enough for him, he seems to be in a, pretty decent relationship with one of the most high-profile women, and is managing to keep it down. So you know what? Hey, you get points for that. Now that he's coming out saying some controversial things, not so much, nothing that I would consider controversial at all, he's just telling some facts, and now he's going to start facing some backlash, because of course that's always how this stuff works. Tom Holland says entertainment industry is not for him. I really do not like Hollywood. Well, the full quote is, I like making movies, I just don't like Hollywood, which immediately, if you know anything about everything that's going on in regards to the box office right now, what is the biggest success story outside of Mission Impossible, and what's the biggest flop story? Well, of course, Indiana Jones, but that one little film that could, Sound of Freedom. What is the entire premise of that film? Well, I think it's going to pop up a little bit later in this video. So, what is Tom talking about? The Spiderman, No Way Home. Well, he is this current incarnation of Spiderman, and he will continue to be, if him and Sony can come to an agreement on things, which, let's keep it a buck, the last film just made $1 billion, and there's no reason why he shouldn't be. So he's 27 years old. He's got the world's at his fingertips. Oh, I also didn't realize that, and now he's sober. Congratulations. I like this guy even more. Hopefully that he succeeds more in life and continues to tell the truth like this. So yeah, back to the quote. Admitted that the entertainment industry is not for me despite his undying love for filmmaking. Look, I really am a massive fan of doing movies, but I really do not like Hollywood. It is not for me, the British actor said on Jay Shetty's On Purpose podcast released Sunday. Business really scares me. I understand that I'm part of that business, and I enjoy my kind of interactions with it. Okay, there's a lot of subtext to that, and without knowing the entire context of the interview itself, you can only kind of glean bits and pieces of it. Holland continued, but that said, I'm always looking for ways to kind of remove myself from it, just kind of live a normal life, or as normal of a life as possible. Today, doing this podcast is a very rare thing for me to do, he added, noting that Shetty's platform felt like a safe space. All right, now I gotta knock down some points for you for unironically using that term, for him to be vulnerable. Don't be vulnerable. Nice dog. Holland said some of his pals have lost themselves in the entertainment industry, and he fears the same is happening to him. Which, yeah, now that he's sober and he just no longer has to cope with any of the trauma that's been inflicted on him in the industry, yeah, it starts to make sense that he's starting to come to his senses on this. I definitely think it's been ongoing thought, which is don't lose yourself, said Holland, who is dating Zendaya, which, okay, if you don't know, now you know, but I've seen so many people come before me and lose themselves, and I've had friends that I've grown up with that aren't friends of mine anymore because they've lost themselves in the business. I just am really, really keen to focus on what makes me happy, which is my family, it's my friends, carpentry, golf, and the charity that my mom runs. He went on. He sounds like a pretty decent dude, all things considered. Like, that's the stuff that makes me really, really happy, and that's the stuff that I should protect. Holland, who detailed how he realized he was definitely addicted to alcohol when he was trying to commit to a month of no drinking. After trying out dry January, and feeling the urge to drink, Holland, who recently announced he was taking a break from acting, realized all I could think about was having a drink. So just this January, I was waking up and thinking about it, and I would check the clock, and it just would really scare me, he explained. Maybe I have a little bit of an alcohol thing, and I sort of decided to punish myself and say, I'll do February as well, and I'll do 2 months off. Holland said that he was really struggling with going dry for 2 months, which led him to fear that he may have an alcohol problem. Which, man, if he needs to get his head right, taking some time off, no, definitely, man, substance abuse is absolutely nothing to joke about, and take that shit seriously and conquer those demons, because, yeah, you're 27 years old. You have that Spiderman role just waiting for you to return at any given time. And you get yourself in a proper headspace so that you don't have to do, like your mentor before you, Robert Downey Jr., a late-stage career revival. And then once you start to approach your 60s, start to go vegan and say that a matriarchy ruling the world would somehow be a better outcome for everybody. Duh. What kind of spurned on all this stuff? There's been some pictures going around the internet recently, and it's like, oh, him coming out saying that he doesn't like Hollywood. He likes making movies, but he doesn't like the industry. It's starting to make a hell of a lot more sense. Yeah, if you're reading ahead a little bit, you already see the headline, and it's like, oh, okay, makes sense. Tom Holland's gay sex scene, and he's very much straight, by the way, set social media light after the actor said playing the role broke him. Like I said, there are some pictures making the rounds out there. It's super weird. So glad to see Tom Holland continuing the Peter Parker tradition of having hot gay sex. Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but yeah, there you have the 3 most recent incarnations of Spiderman flinging a different type of web. Tom Holland is getting plenty of attention online, particularly following a particularly steamy sex scene with his new series, The Crowded Room. The 10-part psychological thriller, loosely based on the arrest of Billy Milligan in 1979 and Daniel Keyes' subsequent nonfiction book about his crimes. Tom, 27, stars Danny Sullivan, the star-studded cast that includes Amanda Seyfried and Emmy Rossum. I know those names. I don't know who they are, though. While the series had been the subject of some pretty brutal reviews when it was released last month, fans who stuck with it couldn't get enough, blah, 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 all that shit as well. After sharing the dance floor with a man, they don't waste time ending up in the bathroom, and yeah, guess what? You have a man who's somewhat of a success in Hollywood, and what's the first thing that you do? Aha! Dick in the ass. Oh, you've got a successful relationship as well? Well, guess what? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cuck your girlfriend. Because this was something that was also going around earlier this year as well. Zendaya having a threesome in the Challengers trailer has people talking. Yeah, I think you've seen the start of the clip, and it's like, I know a lot of people think that Zendaya is about as mid as shit could get. And when she's done up exceptionally well, she's a very attractive girl. And when she looks like that, yeah, okay, it's mid-city. But to act like, she doesn't beat the brakes off of your average chick walking around outside, like, just come on, you're fucking coping super hard. But yeah, can you see what's happening here? You have somebody being broke by the system, somebody who, if you take and assess everything in a vacuum on its own, the lead in one of the most bankable roles in all of Hollywood, one of the last few profitable superheroes that are still in circulation. He's in what seems to be a very successful relationship with one of the most recognizable women that's out there. Seems to have her on a pretty good program. 27 years old, kicking alcohol. Like, everything seems to be on the up and up. But now he's talking about the industry and its problems. So, I had a lot of people talk about the problems in the industry back in the early 2000s, making a whole bunch of side remarks, little jokes about certain producers and certain types of couches. And now what are we hearing behind the scenes? Oh, there's certain types of rings. Not like the ones that you wear on your hand or anything like that, but ones that kind of involve, a lot of shadowy figures and passing certain things or people around. And you want to couple that with the way that said industry is also trying to bury, discredit, smear as a conspiracy theory. Sound of Freedom. What is the central theme of that film? We went over a synopsis of it, and it's been out there making the waves and overperforming. Hell, it's probably going to make over $100 million domestically, which is definitely something in today's day and age. What does that have to do with? Oh, right, underground child trafficking. Huh, interesting. Now, who's somebody else who was in a very similar situation to Tom Holland a little while back? Somebody who spoke up about the ills of the industry. Somebody who also had a pair of successful relationships under his belt and is now taking a step back from the limelight. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. We got Ashton Kutcher out here, and he's also, yes, been very passionate about a certain issue, and it looks like he'll be making a return to Congress or to somewhere to expose the ills of child sex trafficking in Hollywood. Oh, because back in 2017, and that's where this video and that's where this picture comes from. No, you didn't dream this. This actually happened. He did testify before a Senate hearing in 2017. Is he preparing to do it again? And will he be alone? Renowned actor and philanthropist Ashton Kutcher is gearing up to expose the dark underbelly of Hollywood, focusing his efforts on unveiling child sex trafficking within the industry. Kutcher, known for his acting prowess in various Hollywood films and sitcoms, well, let's keep it a buck, okay? Unlike Tom Holland, I have seen Ashton Kutcher act, and, well, I like Ashton Kutcher. We'll just leave it at that. I've got the entire series just looking up at it for a second. That 70s show, and well, there's a reason that Michael Fassbender's interpretation of Steve Jobs as opposed to Ashton Kutcher's is the one that gets more praise. For years, he championed the fight against human trafficking and sexual exploitation through his nonprofit organization Thorn, Digital Defenders of Children. Ashton Kutcher's shift towards advocacy may come as a surprise to some, but those close to the actor are well aware of his long-standing commitment to social justice issues. He has previously addressed the U.S. Senate on the matter, expressing deep concern for the vulnerable victims of sex trafficking. The issue of child sex trafficking has long been cloaked in silence. I wonder why. It's almost like one of the big backers, money men of the industry, he had an island, and there was a whole bunch of people who would go to said island on a certain plane, but that's all right. We don't have to worry about him anymore because he definitely took care of himself inside of a jail cell. Definitely, only by himself, though. With many turning a blind eye towards the heinous crimes occurring right under our noses. It's time to bring this to light and ensure justice for these victims, said Kutcher, voicing his determination to take the issue head on. Kutcher's decision to tackle child sex trafficking within Hollywood community is a bold move. As an industry insider, he understands the potential implications and resistance that may come with shining a light on such a delicate topic. Yeah, exactly. Like smears and attacks, and loss of roles, maybe compromising your significant other by putting them in some very lurid roles. Just saying. Despite these challenges, he remains committed to unmasking the harsh realities of exploitation within the entertainment industry. Kutcher's nonprofit organization, Thorn, aims to leverage technology in the fight against child exploitation. Thorn creates software to aid law enforcement agencies in tracking down child traffickers and helping victims. Kutcher's role in exposing child sex trafficking in Hollywood represents a significant step in a broader fight against child exploitation. By leveraging his status and resources, he hopes to bring about lasting change, not just within Hollywood, but on a global scale. And you know who else is doing this as well? And somebody else who has also been smeared, also been attacked, also been sidelined, but has recently come back because of the same love of exposing these types of nefarious acts by the industry itself. Oh, it'd be good old Mel Gibson, of course. Mel Gibson making a documentary on child sex trafficking? What we know so far? Well, he's the bad guy. He's one of those bigots and phobes. See how all this stuff just kind of comes together? Somebody who's just realizing it. Somebody who's at the forefront. And then we got a veteran over here being like, oh, first time, huh? Mel Gibson is trending on social media over reports he's making a docu-series exposing a multi-billion-dollar global child sex trafficking market. Thousands and thousands have weighed in, with rumors validity supported by Gibson's previous backing of anti-sex trafficking charity Operation Underground Railroad, which is the real-life story behind Sound of Freedom. Gibson's place in the film industry has been shaky over the past few decades, not because of a lack of talent, but because he questions, well, as he has been accused of making several racist, anti-Semitic, and sexist comments. Well, come on, if you've listened to those recorded phone messagings because of that goddamn Russian who are leaking those private communications. We all had a good belly laugh back in the cut. Anti-Semitic stuff? Well, he was just pointing out some uncomfortable stuff a couple of decades before Kanye decided to be a awakened observer. While he has appeared to have left Hollywood behind at times, he comes back with movies that he has to fund himself and put out there. Hacksaw Ridge, Daddy's Home 2, and Father Stew. Don't know about the last two. Well, I've heard of Daddy's Home 2. That's Mark Wahlberg. Oh, right, Mark Wahlberg. Somebody else who Mel Gibson and Trump and everybody else was at UFC 290 with. Weird coincidence on that one. And then Father Stew, I have no idea what that one's about, but despite the founder of Hour, Tim Ballard, suggested in January of 2023 that Gibson was involved in his upcoming 4-part docuseries, Gibson's representative told Newsweek that none of the reports are accurate. Still, high-profile political influencers on social media have offered Gibson their support to the reports of his upcoming documentary. With that in mind, what do we know about the child sex trafficking documentary series? Mel Gibson is allegedly making a 4-part docuseries about $34 billion global sex trafficking market, including countries like Ukraine. Oh, interesting. Wonder why there's so much foreign support over there. Well, Joe Biden can't grow the kids that he needs to sniff off of trees. The tweet was viewed by over 4 million times with tens of thousands of people liking, commenting, and retweeting it. Was that a leading report? Oh, okay, cool. It seemed circulated through different networks, but whatever. Okay, the site was... I wasn't the only one to confirm the news. Social media influencer Matt Wallace, yeah, inside scoop, 100 million Twitter followers repeating leading reports statement. Wallace said, "It's time to expose the truth." So while nothing's confirmed, it really does seem like the industry is shook by this. Because yeah, the moment that you want to speak up about one of the darkest secrets of the industry, all of a sudden, oh, they come out with the smears. Gibson has certainly caused controversy with some of his quotes over the years. In 2006, 17 years ago, holy, it's just about old enough to vote, he said Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world. Well, if we just... No, just don't think about it too hard. The anti-Semitic rhetoric that has followed Gibson's career meant that he wasn't surprising to hear earlier this year that he was attached to direct a movie about the Rothschild. Ooh! The wealthy German Jewish family that has been subject to many anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Well, if you just simply follow the money, you realize that, well, you know, somebody who's definitely got a head at the seat of the table, definitely a Rothschild. It was weird. Okay, if you want something that is going to blow your mind, and if you're an old school Simpsons fan like I am, just do a quick cursory research and figure out who Mr. Burns' character is based off of. You just got... This is a little bit of homework for you guys if you're interested. In January, Gibson's representatives told Newsweek that the reports, which one specifically about the docuseries or the Rothschild documentary, weren't true. Also sharing the alleged news that Gibson would release a 4-part docuseries exposing billionaires, Hollywood, and countries like Ukraine. The popular Twitter user Resist05, resurfaced a 2002 clip of Gibson on the British talk show Parkinson. It's a very strange place, Hollywood, or Hollyweird. It's an odd place, and you imagine all these horror stories, and you think, boy, sure seems as if I'm being sacrificed over here. No, that couldn't be true. And then you realize that it is true. Huh. Doesn't that sound awfully similar to... I'm always looking for ways to kind of remove myself from it. It's kind of just live a normal life as possible. The business really scares me. I understand that I'm part of the business and I enjoy my kind of interactions with it. I'm a massive fan of making movies, but I really do not like Hollywood. Sounds a little familiar, huh? It's almost like somebody knows a couple of things. Somebody's being woken up, somebody's having their morning coffee, and another one is already setting the table for breakfast. Who knows, man? Maybe the collapse of the Hollywood industry is not going to come from the deluge of content that they just continue to churn out. Maybe the rot is coming from the inside and it's going to be exposed very, very shortly. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.